Everybody, time for
now go.
good evening, everybody. Time for another BrickBucks Live. Once again, I am your host, Jim. We are here with Shane, and we have our special guest, the Justin, the flipping accountant. Thanks for coming on today, Justin.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
So, I've been watching your videos for a while, and I eventually reached out to you on a very obscure Instagram account that he wasn't sure if it was me or somebody else. So fortunately he did reply, and we were able to chat until my battery died. But it's definitely good to chat with you again. And one of the reasons why I'm addicted to watching you do what you do is because I've said in previous YouTube videos that I've put out that, I really don't like retail arbitrage because I really don't consider myself that good at it. If I was killing it with retail arbitrage, I'm sure I would enjoy it a lot more. But, with you, like you're just like casually rolling into a Walmart with a shopping cart, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to check some things out. And then like 10 minutes later, your cart is full. You got all kinds of stuff. You got video games. You tell us that, hey, I went in with $10. I'm going to make 30 grand in a year. And I'm joking. That's over exaggeration.
That's spot on. Perfect.
But the numbers do add up. And I'm like, man, and so I wanted to kind of pick your brain whenever we had our one-on-one, if you want to call it.
Yeah.
And it was great. I guess if you could do a little bit of a backstory and tell, because I'm certain that you were doing this long before, you had your own YouTube channel. If you could maybe speak to that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So I work full-time in the accounting industry, and part-time I buy and resell stuff on Amazon, eBay, and Facebook Marketplace. I've been an Amazon seller part-time for several years now, and I have an older account. So a lot of categories are ungated for me that I can sell in that not like newer sellers have a harder time getting into. So I kind of have some advantages on that. And Lego being one of those categories because it's such a high margin, they sell quick. People love Legos. And if you get it for the right price, I mean, you can just make a profit like that. It's crazy. So I've been doing it part-time for years, and I started doing my YouTube stuff, and I wasn't very consistent, like putting out my videos, and it's kind of a hard thing when you start putting out videos and you're not consistent, so you don't really see growth, so you don't really see a lot of encouragement to like keep going. And I made the choice this year to take it more seriously and to be like, all right, I'm going to put out X amount of videos a week. I'm going to take it seriously. I'm going to hold myself accountable, and I'm going to give it a shot for a few months. And if it takes off, great. And if it doesn't, that's fine too. Then I gave it a shot.
Gotcha. So how has it been? And when I say how's it been, I don't know how many Walmarts you go to a month. It seems like, I mean, it doesn't seem like a large number, but it definitely doesn't seem like a small number either.
Yeah.
I mean, what is your level or your measurement for success? Is it, I want the shopping cart to be halfway full. I want to have at least one winner. No, I'm serious. I mean, because, I went to Target recently, and I filled up my shopping cart with a bunch of speed champions for between $5 and $7. And if you know what you're doing, you know how to do that. But what is your measure of success? I mean, I would think if there was, kind of like selling cars, if you haven't sold a car in a couple of weeks, you might get down. But I'm sure, you're also scouting out when those clearances are, because it seems like, I mean, I have trouble, always looking up when the clearances are at Walmart, but it seems like you have it down to a science, right?
Yeah, I'm out there all the time. I'm out there too much. I kind of get dialed in. Sometimes I'll talk to the managers, like if I can, and sometimes they'll give you inside information, and I'm a very friendly, I'm a very outgoing guy. I have no problem talking to employees and saying, hey, I'm looking for clearance. I'm looking for this. I'm looking for that. And people are kind of bashful. They don't really want to do that, but it's like the store is there to sell stuff. And if you're there to buy stuff and you feel like you're coming at it like you're adding value, then you have no qualms about talking to people and telling them what you do. So I certain things, when certain things are on clearance, like I will just hit every store that I can go to. Like when I find Legos on clearance at one store, like that's generally not a one-off. There's a good chance that, you know, other stores in your area may have the same stuff. And if they don't have it now, they might have it in the future. So it's worth checking back later in the week or possibly the week after to see if you can find that stuff.
Right. Yeah. And you know, we have chatted in the past about how, and again, you know, this is not my experience, but you have great relationships with the Walmart employees. When I go to my local Walmart, you know, and you did kind of coach me a little bit on what to do if it isn't marked down, and, you know, if the app says sold by Walmart, but still, you know, I have this, you know, supervisor that's as big as Chewbacca coming out to me just telling me no, it's not working. So I actually have to make an effort to hit the other Walmarts, but it sounds like, how does that go? I mean, have you had complete success with building those relationships? Because I feel that building relationships is an important thing, and I've preached that in the past, but are there some that are, I don't know, maybe a little bit jealous or you kind of avoid?
Some stores are definitely less friendly than others. I've found that Targets are not super reseller friendly. They literally have a sign up that says, you know, no resellers, KNOW, no resellers, no, you know, NO resellers. And I think they may have my picture up somewhere with a big cross on it. I'm not sure.
Right.
But ironically, I say that jokingly, but I actually have a very good relationship with the store manager of my local Target, and he knows what I do, and he is totally cool with it. And if I have any issues, like I just come to him or I call for him, and he comes over and helps me out, because I'm always, like I said, you know, like I'm always very forthcoming. I'm very transparent about what I'm doing. And they respect that, you know, because if you come up with a shopping cart full of stuff and somebody asks you questions and then you lie, you know, you're not building credibility. They know you're not telling the truth anyways, and that's just not good for building a long-term relationship. So I've had good luck actually at my local Target. I have a couple other stores where the managers have my cell phone number, and they'll text me occasionally, like if they get in a big haul of something, and they'll let me know. And I've cultivated those relationships over a long time, and they know what I do. So that's been very advantageous too.
Yeah, it's super interesting actually, because when you do, like if you're online arbitrage, Target and Walmart, for example, is super locked down, right? You can get two of the Lego set that you want. But if you go into store, you can walk out with a cart full from Walmart, but in Target, it's a lot more locked down. So it's interesting how the script is flipped like that. And Justin, for people who are, like you said, a little bit more bashful and kind of less experienced with creating those relationships or cultivating that engagement with the managers and stuff, how do you think that someone could get started with that? Is it a case of just introducing yourself and, you know, asking when the next clearance will be or something like that? Or, you know, avoiding saying that you're a reseller until you kind of get to know them a little bit? Or how would you approach that if you were doing it again?
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of natural, like an outgoing, try to be very friendly and stuff like that. But I mean, I would try to smile, even if you're wearing a mask. People can still see that you're squinting and you're trying to be friendly. You know, don't have weird body language. You're like hiding what you're doing or whatever. And if you see an employee in the aisle, like I run into employees in the toy aisles like all the time, and I'll strike up a conversation or I'll make a silly joke. If they're looking like, there's a lot of Walmart employees that are picking for like the curbside pickup. So like if I see an employee come by like looking for something, I'll be like, oh, what are you looking for? Can I help you find it? You know, and I'll just like, boom, strike up a conversation, and you know, you're already in. So it's kind of stepping out of that comfort zone a little bit. And just kind of putting yourself out there, because I don't feel ashamed about being a reseller. I don't feel bad about it. I have no problem telling anyone what I do. I mean, most of my friends and family know what I do anyways, but I have no qualms about talking about it. And I encourage other people to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there can be a bit of animosity about, on that topic. And some people do fear kind of letting their friends and family know that they are resellers. But I agree. And I think, we get some of that a little bit on the channel as well when it comes to Lego being a kid's toy, and reselling it being a bad thing. And I agree with your mentality that it's best to just be kind of upfront and honest. And when you so you hit a number of different stores, and Target, Lowe's recently, right?
Yeah.
Walmart.
The Lowe's video, and the employees, I'm not kidding you, the employees were the friendliest, most down-to-earth people there. Wow. And it was just way cool. And I got it all, pretty much all of it on camera too. And I think that's pretty much all the comments. People were like, wow, the employees were great. And I just got lucky, because not every store is like that, and definitely not every Walmart is like that, for sure.
The Chick-fil-A of hardware stores.
Yeah.
And how do you compare the different stores against each other in terms of opportunity for a retail arbitrager?
Yeah. I think there's opportunity in every store that you go into, because not all of us sell the same thing. Not everyone has the same eye or has the same knowledge base. Like, I can walk into a thrift store and I can find 10 things to sell, and I can go with a friend and they could find 10 different things to sell. And I feel the same way about retail arbitrage. Like, I know people that focus on groceries, that focus on clothes, that focus on tools. And in some of those categories, I just won't touch with a 10-foot pole, because I don't know anything about clothes. I don't know anything about fashion. I don't want to bundle up 3 packages of popcorn to sell it together and deal with all of that, So I think there's tons of opportunity out there in a lot of different stores. And for Lego, like specifically, I've had great success, like Borat, great success at Target, Walmart for sure, and I think my newest favorite store is Barnes and Noble. I find a lot of good Legos on clearance there too.
Wow.
I believe there is an upcoming Barnes and Noble clearance sale, if it hasn't already passed.
Well, all right then.
I mean, I think it's usually around this time of year, like the Mother's Day season, if you want to call it.
Yeah, Barnes and Noble and Lego are interesting. Is that, like, most of the year they'll be full price, and they'll match the Lego store in price and nobody else. But then they'll have one good sale where you can get 30% off, and totally worth holding out for that. Let me see if we have any questions in the chat. Sure. Any insight into investing, reselling in a market such as Australia that only has a population of 23 mil, as opposed to so. Justin, I'm not sure if you have any thoughts on that question.
Well, I've never been to Australia. I've never tried to sell in that market. So unfortunately, I don't know. But what I would do is I would try to connect with other reseller groups in the country or in the area, or, try to find some other like-minded people that are kind of into the same thing, or maybe see if there's like a reseller Lego group in Australia, or focused on Australia. Or if you're not already in these guys' Facebook group, the BrickBucks Lego Investing Facebook group, they've got a great group, tons of members that, share information. And the majority of posts I see are from the US and the UK, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys had some, members from Australia in there. And all it takes is a post to say, hey, I'm Kevin Adams and I live in Australia. And is there anyone else out here that does the same thing? I'd like to connect,
And there are quite a few resellers, or they're either resellers or they're wanting to get started into reselling in Australia. Like, I'm taken back because we do get the people from UK, and that's great. We love them. And, you're kind of, I don't think we've had anyone announce that they're from Mexico or, below the equator, with the exception of Australia. But I'm kind of taken back at how many people in Australia are, reaching out to either a group here in the US or on the YouTube channel. And I think it's a great thing to build a community, because that's, as I've shared with some people, I'll share it with everybody. The origin, I originally did this YouTube channel so I could give out information, but I also did it so people can contact me and I could build a community. And, maybe there's a reseller or two that has more inventory or has more of a strategic outlook than I do, where I could kind of pick their brain and learn from them. So I would definitely think that you could reach out to some, and there's probably Australian reseller Facebook groups out there. I mean, I would be surprised if there wasn't. And maybe when we do our first on location, Shane, we'll do it from Perth, Australia.
I'm down.
Yeah. That sounds good.
Let's go. Kevin, the only other thing I would add is to, there's some tools that you can use to look at what the markets look like. So if you, for example, you want to sell on eBay, then, look at a couple of themes if it's Lego that you want to sell, and just look at solds on eBay and try to figure out volume of sales and, are things selling and what prices are they selling for? Obviously, the demand there will be different with different population and different kind of, things that people are into. But you can see that stuff with data. You can figure out the demand by using tools. If it's Amazon, you can use other tools like Keepa. So you could start to try to gauge what the market is like a little bit, and then go from there.
Yeah. Also check. You're talking about Amazon and Keepa. I'd imagine that eBay has an Australian version of their site. I mean, I would check the sold listings there and see what it's like there.
Yep.
See what your competition's doing, and kind of go from there. Yeah.
So Justin, I wanted to kind of, I guess, take it back to the beginning a little bit and kind of ask, right? So you've got a full-time job, obviously, and as a CPA. Firstly, why the side business? What started you off with reselling, and now with YouTube? Obviously, you must be a busy guy, fitting all that around, the 9 to 5. So, I guess, what was the attraction, and what do you love about the things that you're doing?
Yeah. I got into reselling very young. My dad kind of got me into it. He kind of taught me how to buy and resell stuff. He used to have a furniture store when I was younger, and kind of taught me going to garage sales and estate sales. And I remember when I was younger, that was not fun. And I don't want to go to some dirtiest, garage sale or estate sale. And this is not a good time for me. And, 20 years later, now I do it on my weekends and my off days, so I can go find deals to resell and make extra money. And, I don't know. I kind of got interested in, finding a way to make extra money. I have a full-time job, but then I also had free time, and I was like, what could I do to make extra money? And I actually found Amazon FBA through a Reddit. I was Googling ways to make extra money, and I think that's how it popped up. And then I started learning and watching YouTube videos and joining Facebook groups, and I really got into it. And I've been doing Amazon FBA through the past 3-4 years, roughly part-time, maybe a little bit longer, but I really got into it, and I really enjoy it. And this past 6-7 months, I've been trying to change my strategy a little bit, because normally what I would do is what most people do with retail arbitrage is, when stuff is on clearance, you rush and you buy the clearance, and then you immediately send it to Amazon. The problem is there is 1,000 other people in this country doing the exact same thing. And by the time your stuff hits the warehouse, it gets checked in, the price is just crashing. So now I'm enjoying making the videos. It's fun. And that's part of my strategy too, in the sense that by the time I post my videos, either the stuff I show in the videos is either sold, or I've already put it away into storage for long-term hold. And now I want everyone else to buy it up, and I want it to be gone, because then everyone else is going to sell out. And then that just brings my price back up quicker.
Yeah.
So,
well, that's fantastic. And so do you kind of thinking about the world of Lego investing, right? Where we have, a very clear idea that this thing that we're buying will retire, right? Because that's the strategy that the Lego group holds, right? They always retire their sets, except for the New York skyline. But so do you take that same investment mentality now with all sorts of different brands of toys? And are you holding out for a retirement of some toys, or are you just holding out until the Amazon supply comes down?
A little bit of both. This is my first year really holding for like months, because normally I would just, as soon as I got it, I would send it in. But the problem is that the margins are kind of slim, and as more and more people, you know, start selling the exact same thing, the margins are going to get even slimmer, and then it's just not worth it. So this year was my first big. I intentionally went into it and I was like, I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of Legos and I'm going to hold on to them for 6 months and we'll see how it does. Like, we'll see what happens. And that was my plan. I talked to my mom about it. Hi, Mom, if you're watching, because I told her I was going to be on tonight with you guys. I was pretty excited about it. And I told her, I was like, that's my plan. I'm going to buy $1,000 worth of Legos. Boom, that's it. Immediately overspent, blew past that mark, you know, and
Yep.
You know, once you guys get into it, I found you guys, I found your channel, I joined your Facebook, and then I was like, this is so much deeper than I had really understood. Like, it's a rabbit hole once you get into it, because there's just so many different techniques, there's so many different strategies, and there's Bricklink, and there's buying sets to break down, and there's just so much more to it. And I feel like, I mean, I still feel like I'm a rookie, because like I'm keeping sealed sets to resell sealed sets, and I see people talking about, oh, well, I bought this on clearance for 15 and it parts out for 85, and I'm like, I'm not doing that. No, that's what that.
Yeah. But so I guess I just kind of assumed, like with most retail arbitrageurs, that you would be sending it in a couple weeks later. And
Right.
so you're saying that the holding of the sets is a more recent thing, right?
Yeah.
But
yes. So the holding intentionally is a more recent thing. I do have some older sets from a few years ago that I was holding in more of like just because I didn't want to sell them. I didn't want to do anything with them. And I've recently rediscovered them, which is kind of funny because you guys have been talking about sets like this, and I have some props with me.
I'm so excited.
And this was one that Jim was talking about not too long ago.
Oh, look at that. Wow.
So
look at that Wolverine.
Yeah. You got Wolverine, Deadpool, and Magneto right here at it. You know, this was a $20 set. It's what, like 150, 200 right now.
Yeah. That's how it's done.
So, and people are like, well, Justin, how do you know if you buy clearance if the price is going to go up? Well, here's a Star Wars set that was on clearance.
There you go.
And there's the clearance tag still on it. You know, I think I paid 20, and this is like 150, 200 right now.
Yeah.
So
good job.
I have a whole bin of these, and this was not intentional. This was just because I was lazy and I forgot about it.
So but, yeah, I mean, great strategy. Get lazy and forget that you have Lego sets.
Yeah.
You know,
right.
A couple years later,
it's not called hoarding if you call it investing.
Right.
I love it.
So
great.
So yeah, so now it's more intentional. That was the whole point of that. So it wasn't intentional at first, and now it's very intentional.
Okay, got it.
So I'm going to mention a product that I saw you purchase, and I sincerely hope this is not your bread and butter, but it's just as an example, and I think we talked about it during our one-on-one, is the Nerf guns. So, and you mentioned a little bit about the Nerf guns where they don't necessarily retire, but there's, I mean, they you could call it a retire. I guess they stop production.
Right.
They come out with something. I don't want to say bigger and better, because I look at some toy products. It's kind of like the slam dunk competition at the NBA All-Star game. Like, it's all been done before, right? They're just repackaging it and doing it. So, you know, for those Nerf guns that you've purchased, which look awesome, is that something that you hold for, 12 months or less, because that's going to be popular during Q4, and then by the time Q4 comes around, all of those lightweights that immediately send it to Amazon and don't know what they're doing,
right?
All of the inventory is gone. Is that kind of what your logic is?
Yeah, that's kind of where my mind is at for this year. This year is very intentional to buy and hold until Q4, or hold until a little bit later. I mean, not necessarily 6 months, but a couple months, because those Nerfs, toys like that, they sell rather quickly. So I do have a stack of Nerf guns in my garage. And I could sell them right now and triple my money, but I also feel like if I held them till Q4, they're not being restocked. There's not going to be more supply. if there's no reason for me to dump them right now, and unless I get into a storage capacity issue, then it's like, all right, I can dump these. I know these are profitable. Then I can move on to something else. But for right now, I feel like it's I feel like it's going well. Even with Nerf guns, that's going well. But yeah, it's definitely more intentional, and it's different too. And not everyone has that same position where they can just buy stuff and hold it, and I totally get that too. If you're just starting out and you don't have that much capital, it's good to just do quick flips. Maybe just buy like the hot brand new sets, and those are hard to get right away. And then if you get a couple, you could resell them and make profit, and then just keep moving, or hold them until later. It just it just depends. I think it was the new Batman car that just came out. I think it's like $30, like the old Adam West one that just came out.
Yeah.
And I think somebody posted that on eBay. They're already going for like $70-$80. Which sucks as a collector, because like you want that, but on the other hand, like if you got that from the Lego store and you got two, like one for yourself and the other one to resell, I mean, that's that's an opportunity as well. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So I have a ton of questions, and I try and frame it in a way where you're not giving out everything. So I try and be surgical.
Sure.
I've seen you purchase discounted video games. I've seen you, purchase Nerf guns and Legos and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
What would you say, not necessarily what genre, but, not necessarily video games, but was there that one video game where like the ROI was just to the moon, or do you see that with Nerf guns, or do you see that with, I don't know, hand sanitizer during?
Nope. Don't sell that. Nope.
Right.
I love selling video games. I love selling small items like video games, or even small Lego sets, because they're small, they're easy to ship, they're usually really good profit, really good returns, and everybody plays video games. I mean, you have a hard time finding somebody who doesn't play video games, even if it's just casually. But I've had a few scores like that, and in some of my older Instagram posts, I've got some of those where like I had like 200 copies of Just Dance, and I got them for like $1 a piece, and I sold them for $25. And it took me 3 months to sell them, but I made a couple, quite a bit of profit off of those. I guess I'll just put it like that.
Good for you.
But those things that kind of stuff doesn't happen all the time. And my preference would be video games. My second would be like smaller Lego sets, and then from there it's just kind of whatever. I enjoy the Lego stuff, and I really enjoy your guys' take on it. I really enjoy how thoughtful you guys are with looking at the past sales history in the charts, and definitely making it very intentional. And I think it's a really neat perspective that you guys have on it, and I enjoy. I've enjoyed your channel for a while, and I appreciate being here.
Wow, that's awesome.
So. Yeah, we definitely love having you here. So you were recently going to Lowe's, and you did a great YouTube video on that. Are there any other stores that you want to go to that you just haven't got to yet? Because let me tell you, you haven't said this directly, but I'm going to say this directly for you. It's one thing to be a reseller, but it's another thing to be a reseller and have a YouTube channel. Because yes. I mean, you and I have been talking about that, and maybe one day the three of us could just talk about our YouTube channels in a private chat and things we're trying to build to. But I've heard you talk about during live chats, and you and me, about posting stuff. So you may not have the time, and you probably don't if there's other stores. Like, I don't know, you went to Lowe's in a recent video. You may be wanting to go to like a Nike store or Foot Locker. I don't know. Is there other stores that you want
to? Is he to
at least
lagging a little bit?
Oh, Jim, you lagged out a little bit there. I think you got the question though, Justin, right?
Yeah, I got the gist. I got where he was going with that. Yeah, I mean, I do source other stores. Yeah, I wonder if he got cut out. He might have to rejoin. I do. Yeah, do you want me to wait a sec?
No, you can go ahead. for the viewers.
Yeah, so I do go to other stores too. I do go to the Nike store, the Under Armour store. I go to outlet stores. I enjoy doing that stuff too, but all of that is just time, and I'm trying to film and edit 2 videos a week and resell and have a life outside of my job and all of those things. It's trying to find like a good balance of everything. And I'm not married, and I don't have any kids that I'm aware of. So I have a little bit more free time than some people do with families and stuff like that. So if you're married and you have kids and you have a YouTube channel and you do anything else, I have the utmost respect for your time management skills, because you are you're doing a great job. I don't know how people do it, honestly.
Great job, Jim. It's balancing a lot. Just so you mentioned, like, Nike stores, for example, right? And what comes to my mind when I hear that is like a whole other world of reselling, right? Which is a sneaker game that, that some people make an entire living out of. You're skirting, so many different areas with your retail arbitrage business that, other people really need to have a lot of knowledge to succeed in. So do you find that you're constantly trying to learn about new areas to break into? And do you find that that's difficult to, for example, if you're going to start doing some shoes for the first time, is there a chance that you might kind of, make a mistake? And do you think, I guess what I'm trying to get to is, what are your thoughts on specialization versus diversification, and, not going too broad, or do you think it's better to go broader and learn a little bit about all of these different niches? When people are starting off reselling, I always suggest to start with what you know. Start with what your hobbies are, or what you have around the house, or, sell some extra stuff you have around the house just to get a feel for whatever platform you're going to sell on. Then you kind of take your knowledge and your expertise, because everyone has a hobby or everyone has something that they do in their spare time, and then look for that kind of stuff. And then once you feel comfortable in that, then just kind of branch out and get more comfortable with other stuff. And I've been doing it so long, I feel comfortable in several different areas. I mean, I can buy groceries, I can buy toys, I can buy Legos, I can buy Nerf guns, I can buy Under Armour, Nike, Adidas. I can walk into just about any store and find profit. But that's because I've been doing it for years, and I learn a lot, and I watch a lot of videos, and I'm in Facebook groups, and I'm reading all the time. So, I would start with what you know, and gradually just kind of broaden your horizon, broaden your scope a little bit. It really just depends on what you're interested in, what you feel comfortable with. And in addition, like what selling platform you're using too, because like eBay, you pretty much sell anything, right? Amazon you're kind of limited as a newer seller into certain categories until you can get ungated, either over time or by buying invoices to get ungated and stuff like that. So I like stores that have multiple departments. Like I like going to Marshall's sometimes because they have Legos. Sometimes they have backpacks, they have shoes, they have Nike, they have all sorts of different stuff. And sometimes I do really well there. I just haven't made any videos about it. Yeah. And I mean, for everyone watching, it's a testament, I think, to that point that Justin just made, which is, you should always be learning and trying to explore new niches that you can branch into, but you need to make sure that you're learning about them, right? And the fact that you are in our Facebook group, which is only Lego, right? And that's just one of the areas that you work in, one of the areas. So you're taking the time to dig deep on just one of the niches. So, I mean, that's what it takes to be successful, I think, in retail arbitrage. And so, Justin, real quick, what does a week look like, right? Because we're talking about all the different stores that you hit and the amount of hours that you're putting into sourcing. Obviously, then there's the back end stuff with listing and the operations side, and then there's the YouTube, and you're cranking out videos. A lot of videos, right? So what does a week in your life look like? How do you structure it?
Yeah. So Monday through Friday, I'm working 6 to 2:30 every day. That's my job. And I'm very blessed because I have a good job that I enjoy and it gives me benefits and retirement and all that stuff. And I like the structure. So I'm happy with what I'm doing. I have no plans of leaving that anytime soon. And then when I get done with that, that's when I shift into reselling gear, shift into reselling YouTube mode. And, I look at the calendar, and if I need a video, I'll cut and edit a video because I'm doing 2 a week. And for me, 2 a week, I feel like is kind of like my limit. Because if I tried to do more than that, I feel like that would take too much time or energy, and I can't put enough of myself into it to make a good product, and I want each video to get better. So I'm trying new techniques and I'm trying new things. And I'm responding to feedback. I do my best to respond to all of my comments on my channel, and that's getting harder as my channel grows. And I'm sure you guys are well aware of what happens, but as you grow, that gets more difficult task to complete. So I try to spend at least, an hour either doing YouTube stuff or working on my Instagram or whatever. And then if I need to source, I'll go sourcing. And realistically, I have a lot of stuff. I don't really need to go sourcing. If I do, it's just for a video, just so I have more content. And I try to plan my weeks at least a few weeks out. So I try to keep ahead of where I'm at. So, if I need to go sourcing, I'll hit a few stores and record a couple of videos. And it really just just depends on how busy my calendar is and what else is going on in my life or what's upcoming. And then I just kind of plan around that. So.
Wow. So you have such a big death pile that you don't need to source all the time. You're like, oh, I've got enough stuff here. I'll just start listening to some of this.
It's kind of like David from Bricklink last time. He's like, yeah, I'm sitting on 900,000 pieces. Oh, okay, that's cool. Whenever it goes to 600,000, do you plan on replenishing? Yeah, not really. So.
Yeah. I asked my Instagram, like I do polls and I like to interact with my Instagram followers and stuff. And I've been on there longer than I have on YouTube. So I feel like I have a pretty good loyal following on there. It's pretty organic. I've just grown it like over time. And I asked them, I was like, do you guys want to see me make a video about my death pile? And I think it was like 95% said yes. And I was like, all right, cool. I won't do that. That sounds good. Just kind of moving on. But I mean, I have to now that I said that I would, but yeah, I've got too much stuff. Like I'm very organized and but I don't really need to go sourcing unless it's for a video right now, to be honest.
Yeah, got it.
So
great. Okay, so we'll take a question from the chat here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Justin, any look, this might be quite niche, but any look figuring out target in-store pricing without using BrickSeek?
Yeah, I've got a few suggestions. And I don't know how to say it. Squee Rabbit, SQ Rabbit 1. Thanks for being here. They've watched my channel and commented for quite a while, like I want to say months. So thank you for being here and supporting. Yeah, so I thought about making a video like this, and I still might do it, but I'll go ahead and I'll tell you guys my thoughts on this stuff, right? So BrickSeek is out there. That's not a secret, but people don't really want to pay for it, or they're like, Justin, I can't spend an extra $30 a month. Like, what do I do? So I'm going to give you the tips. I'm going to give you my top ways of finding clearance, Lego clearance, without paying for BrickSeek. One, you're going to find and watch awesome channels like these guys up here. Two, you're going to join Facebook Lego groups because people love to talk about Lego. People love to brag about their deals. And it's not even bragging. They just want to show like, hey guys, I found this cool stuff. Maybe you'll find it too in your area. People share tons of great info in the Lego investing groups. And there's a BrickSeek Facebook group that you can join. I don't even think you have to be a member of BrickSeek, but like you can join their Facebook group and people post their deals like all the time. So that's another free way of doing it. Other YouTube channels, there are some channels that like do clearance stuff and they literally like just walk around with a camera and just show clearance. And it's entertaining. And like, I catch myself watching it too. And I'm like, I do the exact same thing, but they're finding stuff I didn't even know. And, you can find more of that kind of stuff on YouTube. Go onto Instagram, search the hashtag Lego clearance or Lego deals, and people post about their hauls all of the time. And it's really not to be like demeaning or anything like that. They're like, this is really cool. I found this on sale, and it's maybe a day or a week late or whatever, but there's a good chance you can still find that stuff, because I still find deals at Walgreens or Barnes and Nobles that people post about that I had no idea, and none of that came from BrickSeek.
Okay, I'd like everyone to just pause and take that in for a second, right? So what you just heard, Instagram for Lego deals. I think that's totally genius. So there's some areas that are more, or some sites that are more common than others, right? Everyone knows Slick Deals. We had a 20% off on the dinosaur fossils set yesterday, and when it hit front page on Slick Deals, it sold out, right? Slick Deals is popular, but and obviously the Facebook groups and everything. But I hadn't heard Instagram used in that way, so that's a nugget of information right there.
Yeah, you can follow Instagram pages, but what some people don't know is you can also follow Instagram hashtags. So if you follow the Instagram hashtag Lego clearance, if you pop up your Instagram page, anytime there's a new post on Lego clearance, it'll pop up in your feed and you'll get it like immediately. You don't even have to search for it.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
So that's another way. Do you want me to keep going? I can stop. We can just
keep going.
Keep going, my friend.
Keep going. Let me bring it back up.
No, I'm just playing. Those are my ideas, and obviously, I don't know if you can tell, but I put some thought into this, because people ask me that all the time. They're like, how do you find clearance? How do you find this? How do you find that? And I'm just like, I thought about making a video of just talking about ways to find clearance that aren't BrickSeek, because you can use these tools that are out there. You can use these social media pages that are out there and almost reverse engineer it and find tons of stuff that other people aren't finding.
Yeah, absolutely. But just following on from that, I guess, how much importance do you put on BrickSeek then? Do you think that so yes, there are ways to get deals without using it, but how, is it important for someone who's going to take this seriously to actually sign up and pay for a subscription?
I wish I had signed up for it sooner. I'll just put it like that. There's a $10 a month, there's a $30 a month. And part of it is how important is finding clearance stuff to your business. And if you're into reselling, if you're into finding stuff, there is a lot of benefit to paying for the $30 a month. But if you can't do that, do the free thing, do the $10 a month. And if you can't do that, join their Facebook group at least, because people post the deals there. And they're bragging about it there too. So it's you can still get the power of it from free versions. But if you think about it like this, in my mind, it's a business expense, right? So $30 a month, all it's going to take for me is to find 1 or 2 Lego sets or something like that, where I save $30 or I beat my local competition. And then the rest of the month is just gravy. It's just easy.
Yeah. Investing in these things, I think, is important.
Yeah, I think what you said right there is really important, because when you put money into something, the expectation should be to, at the very least, get your money back. And, more times than not, you'll be making money off of it. So I think that's very important.
Yeah.
So a question that I had, and I think it may have been asked on the sidebar too, at a glance, but so I go back and forth, and I've had people ask me questions about StockX, and my opinion is I don't believe I'm going to sign up for an account right now, which and there's really no reason. I'm not, it's not that I don't believe in the platform, but I'm kind of in a comfortable spot right now. But I feel like if I don't sign up for an account, 3 years from now, they're going to start to gate people in Lego, and I will have missed that opportunity to have my account, have my listings, and I send in my invoices or whatever they ask you for. At this time, I don't know if they ask for that because they're wanting people, but I wasn't sure if that's something that you dabbled in or what your opinion of that is.
Jim, I dabble in everything.
I'm writing that down.
I don't know if you've caught that yet. I dabble in everything. I go everywhere. I will sell anything legal for the most part. But yes, to your question, to no one's surprise, I have used and sold on StockX before. Not for Legos though. Legos would be a new thing for me on StockX, and I haven't used StockX in a while. And it's kind of funny because this is going to go back to our earlier part of the conversation, but I used to use StockX for Nike and I think Under Armour too. And what I did, and I'll tell you guys this because it's not a secret, but since it's a shoe selling thing, you might not be into it or whatever. But what I would do is I would go when Nike would have their friends and family sale, because they give you these coupon cards that you get like 20% off extra. And I would go in and find the shoes that were on clearance, use my 20% off card, and I would find shoes on StockX where they were like willing to pay. Let's say like they're like, I want this size 12 of this shoe. I will pay $100 for it. So if I go into Nike and they have it for like $40, I can immediately sell that pair of shoes without even doing anything and make $60 minus the commission. And literally all I have to do is pay for it and then put it into a box and then ship it out. Like that was so easy doing StockX arbitrage. And that was a while ago that I used to do that. But and that's a cool thing too. Some people are really good at that, but that's just not my forte. That's not my preferred method of doing it. Just so I have nothing against StockX. I've used it before. I would sign up for an account now, just kind of like what you were saying, in case they do put in restrictions later on. Just because it would be better to have an account now as opposed to a year from now when it's harder to get on. And that's kind of what I tell people with Amazon too. It's like there's two best times to sign up for an Amazon account. One would be when they first started, and then two would be today, because tomorrow it might get harder to get signed on. So just if you're not on there, sign up anyways and just get going.
Right. And I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but this is for people that are wanting to get into e-commerce.
Yeah.
The real time to do it was 10 or 15 years ago, but things were still a lot newer. But I believe as, things become more automated and what the vision is for the future, there will be, potentially 4 or 5 other StockX websites in the next 10 to 20 years. And it's good and right now Amazon is king and that's fine. I mean, I choose to use Amazon, so I don't have a problem with that. Right. But, when it comes to eBay, starting to send out 1099s for everybody that is selling $600 or more, I actually look at that as a good thing because there will be less people that will want to sell, or they're gonna get up to $5.99 and then check out for the rest of the year, right? And because there's less sellers, reduced by let's say 25-30%, I believe the prices will rise. So there's a lot of people, and I've been on both sides. I've shared with a lot of Patreons during my one-on-one consultations with them that, right. I'm thinking about going back to eBay in a couple years, not now, because for me, it's a lot more straightforward than Amazon. And I believe there's a lot of opportunity that people have yet to see with eBay because they made that tax roll. So, circling back to, right. There will be 4 or 5 other e-commerce websites that were, they talk about, the billionaire wars with Zuckerberg and Musk or whoever. Like I'm sure there's got to be a billionaire out there that's going to want to start their own platform, and I'm ready for it. Right. I'm just ready for it.
Justin, how do you break down your approach to the different platforms? So are you like 80% Amazon, and how does that look in terms of your engagement, all of the different ones?
Yeah. So from like a numbers standpoint, I'm much higher on Amazon. I'm probably like 80% on Amazon, but that's just because I use their Amazon FBA service, their fulfillment. And just a real quick, for anyone in here that doesn't know what FBA is, I'll just give you a quick overview. It's basically where you take your product, you ship it to Amazon's warehouse, and then when it sells, they ship it for you, and they take a commission, and then they pay you. So it's like I can buy 100 Lego sets, I can send them into Amazon's warehouse, and I never have to touch them again. And Amazon takes a pretty big bite. They take a pretty big chunk, like 25-30%, sometimes higher. But at the same time, you're saving like storage fees, you're saving space. And in Amazon, in my opinion, Amazon commands a premium because of the Amazon Prime system. So that's why I heavily favor Amazon. Plus, I'm ungated in a lot of things that most people aren't. I do have some stuff on eBay. I maybe have a couple hundred items on eBay. And then I have maybe like 20 or 30 listings on Facebook Marketplace because I also sell stuff locally. And I cross list locally sometimes too. I have some sets in my garage that I'm holding until I want the price to go up. But at the same time, I've listed them on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, well, if somebody wants to give me $250 for this slave one, I'll take it. Otherwise, I'll wait another 6 months or a year and just keep watching the price go up.
Yeah. Another great tip right there. So here's one from the chat. Hey guys, do you think getting into retail arbitrage is becoming harder for new people as time goes on? Seems like more and more people are jumping in. So Justin, what's your take on whether it's getting saturated with retail arbitrage? I guess both on the on the side of selling and the listings, and you've already kind of alluded to that with deals and how everyone jumps onto the listing, but also with sourcing, right? Is it competitive now? Are you noticing a change over time as the years tick on in terms of being able to get the stuff?
I definitely think that there is a lot of opportunity to find stuff out there, retail arbitrage. We're not all looking for the same thing. Like, we're in here talking about Legos, so we're in that Lego niche, but not everybody would necessarily be into the same sets. I mean, some people really like Duplo, or some people really like the Marvel or the Disney sets and stuff like that. And not everyone, we all have limited resources, right? Even if you have a savings, even if you have money put away, it's limited. You can't buy everything. So everyone has to pick and choose what they're going to invest in. And that's why I have no fear about going to 10 different stores, because I know I'm going to find stuff, because not every one person can just buy everything out there. Amazon is one of the biggest companies in the world, and they can't buy everything. That's why half of their sales are from third-party merchants like us, because even they can't keep everything in stock at all times. So I am very optimistic about retail arbitrage. And it's funny because the running joke in Facebook groups for Amazon resellers is that retail arbitrage is dead. And that's just a running joke. We all just kind of laugh about it because there are people out there just killing it, making money. And they're not necessarily, not all of them are bragging or like having YouTube channels or posting about it. Like, they're the ones like quietly out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars and just chuckling that, yeah, retail arbitrage is not dead,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I 100% agree with that mentality. And I think that this is the same kind of approach or question that, you can get in any business, right? In anything at all. I heard it with YouTube, right? Can you really grow a YouTube channel in 2021? Isn't there too many YouTubers out there already and you won't be able to get traffic? Or with book selling, right? I run a book selling business as well.
Okay.
And that's a market where people thought it was oversaturated. And no, it's not. You can still grow a successful book business today. Mm-hmm. With Lego, obviously there's some Lego investing forums out there that you will see people complain about how the market is getting oversaturated and there's too many resellers in Lego now, and it's BrickBucks' fault, of course, for advertising the world of Lego investing.
I'm catching some flack too on my channel about why are you sharing this? Why are you contributing to the problem? I'm like, I just stop.
But I think the three, like us three, because we have YouTube channels where we share this information about the things that we are doing, it shows that, we have the abundance mentality, that there is enough at the table to go around for everybody. We can all eat. And I think, that is the case, right? That is the way it is. That, to your point, in Lego, there's different themes, but there's also different hold times, right? Some people do the quick flips and some people hold for a year and others will hold for 5 years. There's different platforms that we sell on, which has different customer base. And there's so much different strategies and ways that people go about it. And then to your point, everybody has a different budget. So, it's not really worth the time to consider too much the competition and or even see people as competition, and much better to just learn from each other, share with each other, and we can all do well together.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I'm trying to learn something new every day. I learn when I'm in your guys' channel. I learn when I'm in the different Facebook groups. I learn stuff on Instagram. I'm always learning and taking that in. And I like to read, so I read books on different stuff. And I think that's kind of helped me with my YouTube. Like I was reading on different strategies and ways to improve your channel and this, that, and the other thing. And then I got noticed by some bigger channels and they gave me some shout outs, which gave me some traction. And it just encouraged me to just keep going. Along with my family and my better half, they all encouraged me. They were like, you need to put more of your personality out there. You're a fun guy. You enjoy talking and helping people and kind of spreading your message that, like what you're saying, there is enough out there for everybody. And there's no reason why we have to, we have to consider each other enemies. Like it's not a zero-sum game. There is more than enough out there for everybody.
100%. Great. Okay, so another one from the chat. We've got Quick Take Gaming here with, as a small reseller, where do you recommend selling for places that have lower fees than eBay and Amazon? Thinking Craigslist,
Sure.
with the only downside of it reaching a smaller audience. So you alluded to some Facebook Marketplace. We've mentioned StockX and things like that. What's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't used Craigslist in years, unfortunately. I know it still exists. I think it does. I think that their market has really kind of have shrunk just because Facebook now has their own marketplace. And if you want to get into a platform with no selling fees and that reaches, millions of buyers, I would definitely get into Facebook. I think... Okay, so let me clarify. I can't ship on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm kind of salty about that. But I know other people that can, and they can advertise their products to the entire country or the world or whatever, and they have a huge marketplace. And I think if you ship, Facebook Marketplace does take a small fee, and I'm not sure what that is. So I'm not going to guess on that. I think it's a small fee. But I just do local transactions. I do porch pickup, or I meet at like a gas station right next to a thrift store. And I always tell people cash. I don't take Venmo. I don't take Cash App. I don't know what that is. I don't, I want the green paper stuff that I can use this pen on right here and make sure it's legitimate. And I think SQ Rabbit mentioned it earlier, have a counterfeit pen, and I have one and I keep it with me because, people do try to pull stuff and they do try to do silly things like that. Frankly, I haven't really had that happen. And if it's a big transaction, I'll meet somebody at a police station, which is a great safe place to meet people too. But I like to meet at a gas station or a thrift store. That way, if somebody's late or doesn't show up, then I just go thrifting.
Wow, that's fantastic.
But yeah, definitely a good idea to sell in those other marketplaces if you can.
We've got tons of great questions in the chat, but since you just mentioned that you look for cold hard cash, Justin, I think it'd be remiss to not ask you a little bit about your day job, right? Which is obviously accounting, and how does that help you in your reselling venture? Do you think that, so like taxes in general, obviously is an area that a lot of resellers have a lot of questions about. Do you feel like, there's certain benefits of being so knowledgeable in those spaces? And do you have any tips for people when it comes to that and thinking about deductions and things like that for resellers?
Sure. I definitely think it gives me an advantage that I am an accountant and I do have a master's degree in accounting and a bachelor's degree in finance. And I'm a very analytical person, and I'm all about planning and finance and planning ahead and putting money aside and all of these different things. And, but that's my education. I paid for that. There was a heavy price for that, the years of training and the student loans and all of that stuff that went along with it. Having said that, I'm very happy with where I've ended up. I'm very grateful. Like I don't like to use the word blessed just because it seems kind of cheesy, but I do feel very lucky to end up where I am in life. And, I think that anyone can get into reselling and make extra money, and you've got to have a why you're going to do it. Are you doing it to pay an extra bill, to save money for a vacation, pay off your student loans? Everyone's got a reason for doing it. If you've got your why, if you've got your reason, you've got your motivation, then you just have to find the time and the energy to keep it moving forward. As far as like bookkeeping and stuff like that, I would recommend that people track their mileage. if you're going to go sourcing, if you're going to go garage selling, estate sale shopping, going to Walmart, retail arbitrage, or whatever, it's important to have a logbook and keep track of your miles. So when you claim that deduction the following year, you have an accurate, accurate accounting of what your mileage is. And I try to make my life as deductible as possible. So if I'm going to Walmart, for groceries, I'm also going to Walmart for sourcing a little bit, because then I'm doing both. If I'm going on a family vacation, or if I go to see my family in another state, I also do some sourcing on the way or when I get there, because then I can write off part of it as a business trip. So, I would try to think of ways that are, legitimate, that you can make your life as deductible as possible. Because if you put the time and energy into finding these things and, keeping everything above board, you can definitely save money in the long run. And it really helps to keep a good track of that kind of stuff over time.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And just one last follow up on that topic is,
Sure.
what do you think that QuickBooks is enough for resellers, or do you even recommend QuickBooks? Or at what point do you think someone should be thinking about taking things a little more seriously, getting a bookkeeper, maybe, having a monthly consultation with the CPA or something like that?
Yeah, that kind of depends on where you're at with your business. If it's a reselling business or any business in general, it's like, do you have the knowledge to be able to do that kind of stuff competently, doing it through QuickBooks or QuickBooks Online, stuff like that? I have nothing against QuickBooks. I've heard good things about GoDaddy Bookkeeping. That's another platform that people use for online reselling that I've heard other people be successful at. I've heard good things about those. I don't have personal experience with those, but if you're competent enough and if you feel comfortable enough that you can use those, then yeah, that's a great way to go. If not, you can hire a bookkeeper, and there's nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to put your time and your energy where, you're being most effective. Are you being most effective out there, searching for stuff to resell where you could be making $100 an hour or $50 an hour or whatever it is, and then paying a bookkeeper, $50 a month to keep track of your stuff? Where's your time best spent? And it's a business expense. It's going to write off. It's going to reduce your taxable income. You're going to pay less taxes on your income overall. So, those are just things to consider as it becomes more of a business and less of a hobby. It's just, where's your time better spent?
Okay, absolutely.
So I know you don't give tax advice on YouTube, but if there is a reseller that asks you, what is the best organization to be incorporated? Is it an S corp? Is it an LLC? Is it a sole proprietor? Sure. What would you say? And so in addition to that, I don't have a strong opinion on some of my friends that have sole proprietorships. Mm-hmm. And if that's what they love, God bless. But there are lots of opportunities if you have an LLC. Like, at the beginning of the year, I got approved for a COVID disaster relief loan. Mm-hmm. I know some people that raked in a ton of money with the first COVID disaster relief bill. I think they got some of the PPP and a lot of other things. And, so I was just wondering if, not to give advice, but
sure, what
someone may want to look into as possibly an organizational article that is a good fit for them.
Sure. So teach you a quick thing about accountants. An accountant's favorite answer, do you know what it is?
S corp.
It depends.
Right.
It depends on every person, their personal situation, what they're doing, what they're selling, their income levels, different stuff like that. So starting off, everybody essentially is like, you're a sole proprietor. Anyone that sells on eBay, anyone that sells on Amazon, if you don't have a legal business structure, then you're a sole proprietor. And basically what that means is, like, you're a reseller, you're a seller under the eyes of the law, but you have full liability for anything that your business does. So hypothetically, if I'm a sole proprietor and I sell a bottle of vitamins and somebody chokes on it and gets hurt or whatever, then they can come after me and I have no protection to protect myself because I am that sole proprietor. I am that business. Then when you talk about getting into a business structure, there's different business structures and there's different ways of setting yourself up to essentially give yourself protection from those certain liabilities. An LLC is definitely a good place to start. And for those that don't know, a LLC stands for a limited liability company or a limited liability corporation. And that, basically what it is, it's like you're filing this paperwork and you're creating an entity by itself. You're like, this is my business. This is separate from me. I'm connected to it, but this is separate from me. But along with that comes with certain responsibilities that you have to do to contain, like to keep that protection up. So like if I create this business over here, this is my LLC. I have to keep my finances separate. I have to keep my expenses separate. I have to keep everything tracked because you don't want to commingle funds. You don't want to commingle your income with your business and all of that stuff, because then you're going to lose the protection of having an LLC, which in accountants terms, they call it piercing the corporate veil. So it's important when you do get into these business strategies and you get into these like opening up businesses and structuring yourself in certain ways that you're also doing the accounting stuff right, because that is very important too. Because if you're doing one thing and not doing the other, you can cause yourself a lot of grief and a lot of headache. Because if you're like, oh, I have a company, I'm protected. But if you're commingling funds and you're doing all of that stuff wrong, you negate the protection and you're just going to hurt yourself in the long run anyways. So for conversations like this, I would suggest that somebody take their structure or what they want to do and take it to a tax professional, take it to a CPA or a lawyer can do this kind of stuff too. Or if you're like, Jim, I know I want an LLC. This is what I want. Go to your state website and find the paperwork and fill it out and send it in, because that doesn't take that long and it's not that hard. A CPA or a lawyer is going to charge you like $500 to $700 to do the paperwork. But if you're able to read instructions and follow instructions and exactly what you're trying to do, you can set it up and it's really not that difficult.
You heard it here, folks.
I'm just trying to help. I mean, I'm not trying to give tax advice, especially in this kind of a forum, but it depends is the best kind of answer. But in my personal opinion, as a CPA, I think people can do their own paperwork and save money. But if you don't feel comfortable doing it, then go ahead and hire someone to help you. And that's what professionals are there for,
Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay, let's take a question from the chat.
Sure.
We've got, would you say that Target and Walmart locations that are more secluded have more opportunity to find Lego sales, haven't been wiped clean from everyone else?
So they're saying like stores that are kind of away from like the big cities, more in the rural areas. Yeah. I feel good about that. I've found stuff in rural Targets and rural. It's mostly going to be like rural Walmarts, because I feel like Targets are mostly in big cities, at least in my state. There's not a lot of Targets in this state. But I have definitely found some awesome stuff in Walmarts out there. But, don't limit yourself. If you go on a sourcing trip or if you're looking for stuff in an area that you're not from, stop at any of the stores that might have toys or collectibles or whatever. And you never know, you might stumble upon a what we like to call a honey hole, which has, a lot of really good stuff at great prices. And they might, you might find some amazing values there. And I've done that before too.
Yeah. And actually, we had an answer from Square Rabbit, I guess it is. Not so not always. A lot of secluded stores hold off on markdowns, while others mark down sets that the employees want to keep off the shelves.
Yeah, I can't speak for all of them. So and that's not to say that doesn't happen. So you don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. So would you recommend investing in Star Wars Legos, especially? So actually, there was another question that I think I missed actually that is similar to this one, which is, Do you specialize in certain themes, Justin, in when it comes to Lego, or you just go for the stuff that is a good deal? And do you pay attention to things like the pop culture, right? So a good movie's coming up like Obi-Wan Kenobi and the show, and does that impact your buying decisions?
Yeah, so that's I feel like you guys do a really good job with your videos talking about different themes and looking at the past history. And that's I've been doing more of that, right? I'm taking more of that kind of approach to it. Like Star Wars has so many great sets, and it's I definitely I'm taking a more targeted approach on stuff like that. But I think Star Wars sets are a great investment, and these sets aren't going to be made forever, kind of like what we were talking about, these sets that are only being made for like 1 or 2 years or whatever, and they're not going to be out forever. It's definitely worth picking up. I think I'm excited for the Kenobi show. I'm a Star Wars nerd. I don't talk about it enough. I make little Star Wars jokes in my videos on my Instagram and stuff like that. So I will definitely be buying a lot of the Star Wars Legos for myself, and maybe some for reselling too. But yeah, I definitely think that I'm excited about the new sets. I mean, I think there's been some Bad Batch sets leaked on either Reddit or Instagram that I think I've seen, like the minifigures and stuff. I don't think we've seen any Kenobi stuff, but yeah, I definitely really like to buy Star Wars stuff. And I'm going to look this set up real quick, because I brought a few of these sets out because I wanted to talk about them and stuff like that. But since we're talking about Star Wars, I'm going to look this up real quick.
Fantastic. I wish I could see share the screen.
No, I'll show it to you here in just a second. I'm sorry.
Tell me what camel says, Justin. Tell me.
Well, I'm actually gonna just to make it a little easier on myself, I'm gonna check Brick Economy real quick, and then I'll compare it to Amazon just for fun. So,
and while Justin's looking at that, we had $5 super chat from Square Rabbit again. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Maybe it's SQ Rabbit. Thanks for the answer. So this is referring back to when we talked about deals, right? And using Instagram and other creative ways to see great Lego deals. Join r.lego deals. So for anyone who's not familiar with that, that's a subreddit on reddit.com, obviously, where people post Lego deals, and it's a great resource. He says, I was trying to avoid taking temperature of each store by waiting for a store markdown to show up in BS Brickseek. Oh, yeah, Brickseek.
waiting for BS.
Yeah. BS. Waiting for store markdown to show up in Brickseek.
Yeah. So here's another set I wanted to show you guys, since we're talking about it. So here's another set that I've got from my little collection down here. So this is a droid battle pack, and this was $13 for a Star Wars set. And there's not much to it. There's 4 little minifigs right now. And the cheapest on Amazon is $132 for this set right here. This is a $13 set that went up by what, like 1,000% or something. So here's just one example. Like, people are like, Justin, you're crazy for buying Legos and holding on to them for 6 months or a year. And I'm looking at the cold hard numbers, and I'm like, you're crazy for dumping them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying, like, I'm being transparent about what I'm doing. The Legos, I'm intentional. I'm buying them to hold on to them, to sell them at a later date. And if you can do that, great. If you can't, then, make your profit and be happy with that. But here's another set. I showed this one a little bit earlier, but this is a $30 set that I got from Target. If I can move the camera, that I got from Target for like $20. And this is like $150 right here too. So since I have like a tote full of this, like proof that I'm looking at, I'm like, yes, I'm going to buy a lot more Star Wars. I'm going to buy a lot more of these unique sets, especially if there's only like 1 or 2 minifigs that you can't get in any other set, or if it's a store exclusive. The store exclusive ones just skyrocket. I feel like you guys had some videos around Black Friday, but one of the sets that Target had for Black Friday, I think, was the Quidditch match, the Harry Potter Quidditch match. Yep. And I think like for Black Friday it was like $24 or $26 or something. So normally it's a $40 set, and I think I got like 30 or 40 of those, and those have just like really skyrocketed too. So I mean, if you have the time and the ability to buy stuff and hold on to it, I feel like that's a good strategy for Legos.
So on that particular set, I was buying that at retail price because there's very few sets that I would buy at retail price. But Quidditch Match, I was so sure, because it was a Target exclusive, and Harry Potter fans are quite passionate. Let's just leave it there. I'm one of them. I love Harry Potter.
Right.
And that was a very unique set, and it's an attractive looking set and fits right in with the rest of the theme. So I knew, with it being a Target exclusive, that was going to go well, and then buying it at retail and then seeing it down for, I think it was 22 on Black Friday.
Yeah, it was very, the price was ridiculous, and I was like, I need to stock up on these, and I wished I had bought more, and I think I ordered them on, like, Target had them on clearance on their website, and I bought like another 10 or 15, just as many as I could get, and those are just going to go in storage for a while.
That was a great one. But Justin, so you mentioned that you're starting to hold stuff longer, but if and in our world, obviously that is how we approach it as well. Right. But I think if we have a $13 set that's now selling for $130 on Amazon, I'd probably be letting it fly by now. Like, what are you holding on for? Like, what's your hold time?
Well, this tote right here, this is the outlier, right? This is one of the totes that I forgot about. Essentially, like, I bought a bunch of sets, I put them into storage, and I was like, I'll deal with this later. So these have been here for a while now. So I don't think this is going to be typical, right? So, like, all the sets that I'm talking about that I've bought in the past 6 months, I'll probably hold for another 6 months to a year, depending on where they hit that price point, and then I'll just let them go. So it's not going to be like years holding on these ones, because, like I was saying earlier, like, we all have limited resources, whether we're talking about money, whether we're talking about time or space. I'm going to run out of space if I continue to buy and not sell anything. So at some point I'm going to have to sell. So I think my plan this year is maybe another 6 months, maybe until Q4. And if I see the prices start creeping up there and I feel good about it, I'll start letting some fly. And then if I have some that aren't worth it, then I'll just hold on to them longer. So,
yeah.
So but these, to answer your question, these I've had for too long. But generally that's not going to be the strategy with stuff that I'm buying now. It'll probably be another 6 months to maybe a year. That's kind of where that's where my mindset's at.
Got it.
So.
Yeah, and so you mentioned Black Friday. What is your thoughts on Black Friday? Right, I know we're a couple of months out, but in Lego reselling, obviously, it's around August where we need to start thinking about our approach to Q4 and how we're going to handle it and what's our goals. How do you look at Black Friday? Is it the busiest day of the year for you, or do you do any sourcing even? Do you go out in the stores, or what's your thoughts on it?
I have multiple things that I'm looking at for Black Friday. I can sell in some categories on Amazon that other people can't. And I've been saying that all night, but one of the categories is like media. So, like, I can sell DVDs and CDs and Blu-rays and stuff like that. And generally on Black Friday, media is super cheap, like dirt cheap. So, this past year I went heavy on media for Black Friday, and it just it paid off handsomely. So I mean, like, I can go in and buy Game of Thrones, DVD sets for like $7 or $10 or whatever, and then turn around and sell it for like 22 or 25 or whatever, and those sets like sell quick. So for me, that was kind of my strategy this past year. So I'm going to lean heavier into that this Q4. But for Legos, I'm going to see what stores are advertising their sets. And, I'll be watching your guys' channel to see what your thoughts are as well. But I really like the store exclusive sets. If it's a store exclusive set and it's on sale, I mean, you're getting a 2-for-1. That's a lot of really good synergy there. And, if it's a store exclusive set, it's only going to be sold in 3 places. Like Amazon, it's going to be marked up. Target or whatever store it's exclusive, and then the Lego store or website if they have it too. And once those 2 places dry up, there's only going to be one place to get it, and that's going to be at a marked up price. So if there are store exclusive sets on sale for Black Friday, I'm going to go heavy on it.
I'm surprised at how many exclusive sets that Lego has for various themes, because I mean, Hedwick was Barnes and Noble, but now you can get it at Zavvi.com, so it's not as
Right.
exclusive, which is a good thing because you have to ask yourself, should I purchase 100 Hedwigs from Zavvi, or should I go to Barnes and Noble every week and use my Barnes and Noble membership card?
Right.
I mean, there's, which isn't a bad idea, but there's, that's the trenches. I mean, if you're able to do that and still have a smile on your face, you're a better person than I am, especially at Barnes and Nobles. But yeah, they have the Spider-Man Target exclusive, which I think is gonna, it's gonna be straight money in the bank whenever that retires.
Yeah. Another one from the chat. So we have, how do you identify what price you want to sell at? If a set hits a number early, would you hold for longer?
That's a good question. I'm more curious on what you guys have to say on that, because I feel like you've been doing the investing part longer and like intentional holding longer, stuff like that. So I'm relatively new to this. So my thoughts on this aren't super developed. So I'm kind of curious to hear what you guys have to say.
Shane?
Yep. Yeah. So the way I kind of think about it is, so it will depend on past history and similar sets, right? So you can get some idea of expected return or expected, let's say, price target before you even buy the set, right? So if you're analyzing a particular buy and you want to buy multiple quantity of them, so it's worth kind of running the numbers, then use we call them comps, but similar sets to try and figure out what kind of height you expected it might get a particular number of years after retirement. And if a similar set, and we do this in the videos a lot, right, where Jim will walk through similar sets that are in some way comparable, and sometimes you can't get comparable sets, right? So if you're looking at Sesame Street, you might try and use Winnie the Pooh, like you might try and compare them to like similar stuff, but they actually have different audiences. But if they're, if it's a Star Wars set, you should be able to figure out roughly what similar sets can get to within 2 years or a year. And, you can use that as some estimation. And then obviously the question comes down to being able to buy the set at a good enough price so that you have a margin of safety even after fees, right? So the fees are a key part of it, because obviously that determines your margin. And if you're an Amazon seller, they pretty much take a third. So usually then I will try to say, maybe I want to buy the set and then I want to sell it at 3 times that price. Mm-hmm. And whether it can get there or not will depend on those comps that you can look at. Jim, anything on your side?
Yeah, so my method has changed over the years. So I'll tell you how I first started off, and there's probably a handful of people out there that have heard me give this example. So, when the Louvre came out at Barnes and Noble, I was like taken back. That was the first time I said to myself, I need 1,000 of these. Didn't get 1,000 of them, right? But that retailed for $60. I knew I could get it for $40 to $42, right. And I knew I could sell it for $100. One of the reasons why I love eBay is its simplicity, even though I don't sell on eBay at the moment. And I knew at the time, I know they have a new pay system now, and I don't have any experience with that, but I knew, they would deduct $13 out. 3 would go to PayPal, 10 would go to eBay. So I would have a pretty exact number. I knew I could double my money.
Right.
The thing about that is, as I'm doing it now, I'm really not trying to double my money. I'm trying to, triple and quadruple my money. And,
sure.
That's what, and to be honest, if I would have, I may have been able to triple or quadruple my money back when the Louvre came out. I just didn't know that A, that was possible, or B, that was something that, I could do. So one of, if you want to call a silver lining with COVID is, you could look at historical data when there were supply issues and things were sold out, and you could say, right. Oh, this, Duplo set, when it was sold out, was making, 2x, 3x return on investment. I might want to buy 1,000 of those. So, you know, that's what I'm really looking at now. The funny thing is there are videos that I will put out and I will say to myself, man, this is a good one. Like this is the one. If people are wanting to know what you're doing, like the answer to that is in certain things, you know, this is the one that they should pay attention to. And it's like the one with the least amount of views, right? But if I do a video on Diagon Alley, I mean, you know, we're at 2,000 views in less than 24 hours. So, but you know, I look at historical data, and because I've had success, in that theme of getting 2x, 3x, and you know, a couple times 4x, you know, whenever that set has retired and it's in the new version comes out, I know its predecessor did quite well. I mean, I'm going all in on that, and I'm not even looking back.
Yeah, I have to blame you for the reason that I purchased like 40 TIE fighters, because I saw your video where Jim did this analysis on like every TIE fighter that came out, and I was already like, this is a sweet set for $40. And then when I saw them for $30 at Costco, I was like, yup, that's happening. Yep. And I pretty much bought all of them except for like one or two. Like, I don't clear the shelf, and that's kind of something that I just don't do. I try to leave at least a couple for other people.
Good for you.
Which is funny because I catch hate on both sides. I catch hate from people that are like, oh, you shouldn't be buying all of them, or you shouldn't be buying any of them to resell. And then I have other people like, why didn't you clear the shelf, man? That's just stupid. And I'm like, I just can't please anybody.
Right.
But I made a video of like myself buying like 35 or 40 like TIE fighters, and I didn't edit it, and I didn't put it up, and I didn't feel like I had enough content or enough meat to it or whatever. And I was like, I'm just going to catch hate for this video. So I just didn't do it. So, yeah. But yeah, that's your fault, Jim.
Okay. So we have Andrew here, and Justin, you've already answered this in the chat, but just for the benefit of anyone who's listening to the podcast or anything like that, we have a question here. Some members on the Facebook group say they don't pay taxes. Where do you buy from that you can get tax exempt? If you buy from a retail store, there isn't a way around paying sales tax up front, right? Okay.
So this question has a couple parts to it. And it looks like we lost Jim again, but I'm sure he'll be back momentarily. So what you want to get is something called a reseller certificate or a tax ID number, which depends on what state that you're in, is going to determine what you need to get. Essentially, the way the government has it set up is they want to charge tax to the final buyer of an item. Okay. So just for example, when I buy this set to resell, when I buy this Batman Lego set, if I show my reseller certificate to Walmart, that's me and my paperwork telling Walmart that, hey, I'm buying this to resell this to somebody else. And that means that whatever platform I sell it on is going to collect that tax and remit it to the government. So the whole point of having a reseller certificate or a tax ID number is that you're avoiding, and it's not, avoiding isn't the right word, but we're just going to use that for now. But essentially what you're doing is when you purchase the item, you're not paying sales tax. And then when you sell the item, the tax is being collected, and then it's being remitted on whatever platform you're selling on. So essentially what it is you're avoiding paying sales tax on it, because sales tax will be collected on it when it's sold on the platform. And the majority of states are marketplace facilitator states. And what that means is like Amazon or eBay will collect your sales tax and remit it for you. Not every state is like that. So you have to know if your state is a marketplace facilitator state, because if they're not collecting sales tax and you're selling stuff on eBay or Amazon, you may be responsible to collect that sales tax and remit it to your state. Yeah. So essentially what a sales tax ID or reseller certificate is doing is helping you avoid that extra tax when you buy it, because you're just going to resell it anyways. Here's the catch. You can only use this on stuff that you're going to resell. And if you're not doing that, then essentially you're committing fraud, because then you're avoiding paying sales tax on something that sales tax is not going to be collected for. So if you have one of those, I would suggest only using that buying stuff to, using a sales tax ID to buy stuff that you're going to resell because that's what it's meant for.
Justin, are there any stores that refuse to give you to accept the resale certificate that in your experience?
I don't think Target is super friendly on the reseller certificate stuff, tax ID stuff, which is so funny because like if you go in there and you're like, well, I'm a business, I have a tax ID number, they might work with you, they might not. But if you go in and you're like, I'm a reseller and I have my tax ID number, they're going to be like, there's the door and you can see yourself out. Other stores are much better about it. Walmart's, in my opinion, Walmart's good about it. It just depends. You have to have, it's like you have to have it with you, or you have to have a card if you're pre-registered on their website or whatever. But if you have a business and you take the time to set it up for a reseller certificate, in my opinion, it's worth it, because then you're saving yourself that tax money because you're going to sell it anyways. So
absolutely. Fantastic. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Jim, we lost you for a second there.
I know. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, so we can take one or two more and then we can close it out. We've been going for an hour and a half. It's been fantastic discussion, Justin. So thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad to be here. I was excited to be here. So
let me see. Do we have any more questions? We may be at the end of our chat questions here. No so I'll ask a quick one, Justin. So sure. I guess someone getting started in retail arbitrage, do you have any kind of thoughts on, what are some of the first steps someone should take or to ease their way into the world of RA?
Yeah. Just kind of start with whatever budget you have. People ask me like, do I have to have $500 or $1,000 to get into this? In my opinion, the right amount of money is whatever money you have to work with. And you just start with what you have. And, essentially, if you're just starting out, you're going to want to focus on quick flips. You're going to want to focus on stuff that can be resold easily. I like to stick with small stuff. Other people sell big stuff. And if we're just talking retail arbitrage and not just Legos, you can go into Walmart's and buy blenders on clearance for $20 and resell them on Facebook Marketplace for 50 to 70 all day long. And there are people that buy kids' toys for $5 and sell it for 40, $50 all day long on Facebook. And I don't focus on that stuff because that's bigger and I don't have a lot of room in my car. So it's like, it's kind of limited, right? And that's part of the whole, you have limited time, you have limited resources, et cetera, et cetera. But, I think there are tons and tons of ways to get started. If you're not just looking at Legos, I mean, there's ways to make money if you are looking at Legos. There's tons of opportunity out there. There's opportunity at every store, Walmart's, Targets, Barnes and Nobles, gas stations, garage sales, estate sales, library sales. I mean, I will buy stuff anywhere that I can find it, and I'm pretty good at it. But that's just because I have no problem trying any kind of store, essentially, is what I'm saying. There's tons of opportunity out there if you're willing to put in the time and the effort.
Garage stations. That's the first that I've heard that.
I'm sorry. I meant like gas stations. I've bought,
gas stations. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've bought discontinued products at gas stations and resold it on Amazon. Like you can find, sometimes I'll find razors that are like a discontinued brand and resell it for $100 on eBay. Wow. I sold Butterfingers that were the old Butterfinger formula, and I paid like 10 cents a piece, and I was selling like 3 packs of Butterfingers for like $25, and people were buying them.
Wow.
So discontinued products is a huge market too, and that's a completely different conversation. But what I'm saying is there's tons of opportunity out there. You just have to take the time to look and do the research and put in the footwork, and then you build your catalog of knowledge and just kind of keep going from there.
Fantastic. Last one from the chat, and this comes down to the last question I wanted to ask as well, is what does the future look like for you, Justin, with your businesses growing so fast? And the question in the chat here is from Kevin, and it's ever going to jump full time?
Yeah, I have no plans of jumping full time. I'm very fortunate in the sense that I enjoy my job. I enjoy what I do. I put in a lot of hours to get where I am with it, and I don't know if I have a lot of benefit to going full time with reselling, because I feel like I do a good job with where I'm at, but I am working on rebalancing my time and my priorities. My 2 videos a week, I think I'm doing good with YouTube, and I've had some pretty good growth, and I'm very lucky with that. If I wanted to grow faster, I would need to put out more videos, but then I'd have to cut out time and doing some other stuff. And I just don't know if that's in the cards right now. So I'm going to continue my 2 videos a week on my channel. I think I'm going to put out some more Lego content as we get closer to Q4 and I start selling my totes of stuff that I have saved. So then I can maybe make some videos like you guys do and say, hey, I bought these 6 months ago at this price. Over 6 months, here's what the prices have done. Here's what you would have gotten 6 months ago if you just cashed out. Here's what I'm getting now. And maybe I can change people's ways of thinking, that maybe holding on to them a little bit longer is a good way to go too. So probably just stick with what I'm doing for now. And I don't know if there's any changes, I'll let you know. But I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
Well, we're definitely happy to have you tonight. So thank you.
Yeah. Jim, any other last questions or close out?
I'm good to go, my friend. I'm good to go.
Good stuff. Justin, it's been a real pleasure. So where can people find you? Obviously, we have the YouTube channel, The Flipping Accountant. I'm about to link it in the chat. Any other kind of places that people can go to kind of keep up with what you're doing?
Yeah. So I keep my my handle, my username the same on every platform. You can find me on Instagram, YouTube, The Flipping Accountant. I have a TikTok that I use, and sometimes I do videos on there. And I don't know if you guys use TikTok at all, but I did it to make some videos, and there's some really good opportunity. There's some really good potential there for growth, because people post about like clearance stuff and Legos and stuff like there too. So there's another one. Don't tell anybody. But I caught some hate on TikTok, which was kind of funny, because I posted about one of my Lego clearance deals, and I had a shopping cart full of like 90% of Legos, and enough people reported it that they took it down, saying it was illegal.
Oh, come on.
Haters.
And I was like, this is nonsense.
Haters.
Yeah,
Wow.
just haters. There were so many people that were so salty that I made this video like showing off these Legos that they got it taken down. So I had to like
Pure jealousy.
I had to open up a report, and I had to fight it, and I got it I got it I got it put back up. And after that, I was like, I don't want to mess with this. So I haven't been on TikTok in a while. So Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, The Flipping Accountant. If you guys have any questions, you can send me an email. It's justinthecpa@gmail.com. That's in my bio in all of my videos on my YouTube channel. Sometimes I do lives on Friday nights and just kind of hang out, kind of like what we're doing here. And otherwise I do videos twice a week, Tuesday and Saturday. And that's about it, guys. Thank you guys for having me on. I really enjoy it. So
It was awesome. I loved it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'm gonna have to listen back to this again, because this was chock full of great wisdom and nuggets. So Justin, thank you for coming on. Thanks for sharing with us. And thank you everybody for tuning in, of course. Do go to Justin's channel, The Flipping Accountant, and subscribe there. And subscribe here to BrickBucks. We'll have another guest in 2 weeks' time for another live show. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
thanks, guys.